You're listening to the Confidence Within podcast. If you are a successful professional entrepreneur who is nonetheless struggling with the fear of public speaking, then you are in the right place. This podcast is all about igniting your inner confidence, learning to show up with genuine authority and brilliance, and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Victoria Lyasnyansky, and welcome to my show. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Confidence Within podcast. Today, we're going to talk about introductions and how to make them effective. Imagine you are at a business conference, at a networking event, at a company meeting, or even at a social situation, and you have to introduce yourself. Do you have a response ready, or are you winging it every single time? For most people who struggle with public speaking anxiety, even something as simple as introducing yourself at a company meeting could be a challenge. And personally, when I struggled with my own fear of public speaking a couple of decades ago, I dreaded introductions. Absolutely dreaded introductions. Back when I was still working as a senior software engineer, and I also started a web development company on the side, I attended lots and lots of networking events. And I remember one event in particular where we all sat at this giant round table, and the facilitator said, "Hey, we're going to go through introductions. Introduce yourself and tell us something fun about yourself." Oh my goodness, I was about to crawl under the table. I was so terrified. And as introductions started, and as they were coming closer to me, I completely panicked. I got up and excused myself to go to the restroom. Can you imagine? I come to this networking event to meet people, to promote my business, and then instead of doing it, I get up and leave. So for those of you for whom introduction is a challenge, let me help you with this. And even if you feel like introductions are easy and you got it, this episode is going to be super helpful because I am going to tell you how to structure your introduction so that it's the most effective. So let's talk about what makes a great introduction. The most important thing about your introduction is not what you do. It is what you do for others. There is a major difference here. Instead of focusing on what you do, you're going to focus on your benefit. Is it the benefit that you bring as a professional or as a business owner, or the benefit that your company brings? Your introduction is not your job title. A lot of people don't even understand your job title unless you introduce yourself in a way that explains how you benefit other people. Let's say you work for yourself. Maybe you own a business, you're an entrepreneur, or you're a consultant. When I started my very first company, I used to introduce myself as, "Hi, I'm Victoria, and I own a web development company." And for context, let me tell you, this was 25 years ago. I'm completely dating myself here, but this was 25 years ago, before YouTube was around, before Facebook was around. A lot of smaller businesses didn't even have websites. So to introduce yourself as a web development company had no relevance to people that I spoke with. And fortunately, I figured it out, and I changed my introduction to, "Hi, I'm Victoria. I own a web development company where we help small and medium-sized businesses attract and nurture clients through their websites." Notice the difference. Instead of just giving a generic overview, "I own a company," I'm being very specific. When I introduce myself, I tell the other person exactly who we help, small and medium-sized businesses, and what is the benefit of working with us. We help them attract and nurture clients by using their websites. Does it make sense? Whenever you're working through your introduction, I want you to think about one thing. If someone was listening to my introduction, will they be immediately able to refer me to someone? Granted, they may not have anybody to refer me to, but if they did, is my introduction specific enough where they can immediately think, of a company that would benefit from my services. So 2 words you need to think about. Number 1, benefit. How what I do benefits other people. And the second word is referral. Not that you're truly looking for a referral, but that word referral helps you remember. You have to be very specific so the other person can immediately think who they can refer to you. Whenever you are very generic, nobody will think of a referral. It only happens when you are specific. Let's say you're a coach, just like myself. I'm a public speaking confidence coach. So here is an example of how I can introduce myself. Again, remember, I wouldn't just say, "Hi, I am Victoria and I'm a public speaking confidence coach." This is not enough. I cannot assume that people will know what a public speaking confidence coach does. So I have to specifically say who I help and how I benefit them. So in my case, it could be something like, I help high-level professionals, executives, and entrepreneurs conquer their public speaking anxiety and transform into confident, captivating, and influential speakers. Very specific, which immediately creates an image in people's minds, right? Oh, I understand. You help people with their public speaking anxiety, and you also help them become great communicators and presenters. Got it. And remember again, the word referral. If I was talking to you and you knew somebody who would benefit from what I've just described, you would immediately be able to give me a referral. And again, we're not talking about literally receiving or giving referrals. This is more of a concept to understand that you have to be specific enough that the person you're speaking to can immediately think of a referral. Simply use it as a guidance. Let's talk about your introduction when you're working for a company, not for yourself. There are a couple of cases here, right? You may be introducing yourself inside the company. For example, you may have an all-company management meeting and you have to introduce yourself. You're going to introduce yourself focusing on how what you do every single day benefits the company. Why did they hire you? The second example would be if you are introducing yourself outside the company. Then your introduction will focus on how what your company does benefits your clients and how what you do benefits other people. But again, your benefit will be in relation to the company you're working for. And you have to remember to tailor it to a specific person or specific situation. For example, let's say you're a doctor, an oncologist, and your specialty is neuro-oncology, which is a type of oncology that deals with cancers of brain and spinal cord. If you are at a social event and somebody asks you what you do, you're probably not going to say, "I'm neuro-oncologist," because most people outside of the medical field, they have no idea what that means. So if you're in a social situation, you will simply say, "I'm an oncologist." And you can always add, "I help people who suffer from brain and spinal cord cancers." But you wouldn't use neuro-oncology as the term to describe what you do. However, if you are at a medical conference, you're not going to explain that you're an oncologist who deals with brain and spinal cord cancers. You will simply say, "I specialize in neuro-oncology." So be very careful with using special terms and jargon around people who don't understand it. And it's very, very simple. If you are with people who are in your field and your jargon is something that they say every single day, then introduce yourself using those specific terms. If you are around people who wouldn't understand what your specific job entails, then introduce yourself in a simple way and explain how what you do benefits other people. So once you've created your introduction, what do you do next? Well, you're going to take your introduction and you're going to create a copy of your introduction for different situations. If you're working for someone, you probably want to have 3 introductions. One to use inside your company, one for people who are in your industry but outside of your company, and one for everyone else. If you work for yourself, you probably can get away with 2 introductions, one for people in your industry and one for everyone else. Now, this is just a guideline. You can create as many introductions as you want. But once you have those couple of introductions ready to go, then it becomes very, very easy to adapt them to a specific situation or a specific person you're introducing yourself to. Once you have your introductions written, you need to practice them. Read your introductions out loud. Listen to yourself. Do they flow? A lot of times when you write your introductions, they end up feeling written. They don't feel like a spoken word. So it's very, very important to actually practice speaking your introduction after you write it down. And if it doesn't flow or it feels wooden, then you need to work on it a lot more to make it flow better. Once you're happy with your introductions, they feel good, they flow well, then you're ready to memorize them. Why do you want to memorize them? So that when you are in a meeting and all of a sudden introductions start, you are able to just say it without any hesitation, without any anxiety. You can just say it and feel good about it. And if during your introduction you're still stumbling, you still don't feel confident enough, it means you haven't practiced enough. Go back to your introductions and practice, practice, practice. You already memorized them. Now you need to make sure that you can say them effortlessly. You need to make sure that you can introduce yourself on a moment's notice. And remember, the most important thing out of everything that I talked about today is focus on how you help others, not on what you do. All right, I hope this was helpful. And remember, if you struggle with public speaking anxiety, I have a guide just for you. It's called 5 Proven Steps to Boost Your Public Speaking Confidence Right Now. This guide is packed with practical tips you can implement immediately to help you calm your nerves, command the room, and speak with genuine confidence. You can grab this guide at guide.confidencewithinpodcast.com. Again, it's guide.confidencewithinpodcast.com. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.